grave. Under neon lights we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land. Monsters lurking in the night.
What's up, my beautiful monsters? It is the OGGM. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Friday morning. I'm sitting here with Steve the Cat at Site B. We're going to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game crowdfunding projects that are coming to an end, but you still might be lucky enough to support if that's something that tilts your fantasy. And right on the top, we have Gods of the Forbidden North, Volume 3, Emmy Award-winning Gods of the Forbidden North. Our good friend Victor worked on this project, so it's nice to see that it's continuing. This is from Pulp Hammock Press. It's for old school essentials. Well, basically any D20. This is the third of the trilogy. $69 plus shipping and handling for the PDF and print versions of the book, slipcase, and additional PDF. Didn't I just read something about not to use slipcases anymore, or something about slipcases? I don't know. The brain is churning about the mention of slipcases, and I remember reading something earlier this week about it was actually counterintuitive to use slipcases now because people would be afraid to damage them, and therefore they would be afraid to maybe damage the book if they removed it from the slipcase. So maybe slipcases wasn't a good idea. It sounds like something I read, but you never know. I could have just made it up. Anyways, it's a wilderness-based hex crawl with an underworld filled with tunnels. Obviously, with a name like Frozen North, there is some vague connection to Norse mythology, but mostly it's just, inspired by Vikings, magical cultures, Romans, Inuit peoples, 300 new monsters, tons of art. And if you've ever seen Victor's art's amazing. If you've ever read Victor's work on Blacklight, this guy, I would definitely say this guy is my equal, if not my superior, when it comes to researching things, especially like weapons and just culture. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Victor's work. You can see him always on the channel with our good friend, The Basic Expert. So definitely this is on my list for something to support. If I wanted to get a, Frozen North, vaguely Viking, vaguely Roman, vaguely just anything with ice and cold themed type stuff, this is probably what I'd get. Except, of course, I hate being cold and I hate the snow. But but I love Vikings because who doesn't love Vikings? And I love Romans because who doesn't love Romans? And I love the fact that they've gone into the actual cultures of the people who actually lived in those environments, like the Inuit. So that's cool. So yeah, definitely a lot of work going into this. Highly recommend it, despite the $70 might seem like a lot, but it's got a lot going for it. And you get a slipcase from Baroque Publishing. If it's that broke, don't fix it. We have the Lady Pirates Tarot and Sails of Fate 5e supplement for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I think at this point, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and all the dogs and cats at seas, if you're going to make product for WOTC D20, you need to specify whether it is for Dungeons and Dragons 2014 or Dungeons & Dragons 2025, because I do think that whether you agree with me or not, there are enough differences between the two of them. And there are two separate audiences, as well as just the bulk audience of I'll buy anything that says 5e on it. But it feels like the I'll buy anything because it's 5e audience is dwindling. And we have the very large, I still like 2014 Dungeons & Dragons, and I see no reason to change crowd. And the slightly smaller, I prefer 2024 D&D, but I do believe that there's enough differences in them that these guys here need to specify, is this for 2014 D&D or 2024 D&D? Anyways, it's $45 for PDF and the print version of the cards and more. The campaign offers a 300-page supplement with tarot rules for naval campaigns, ships, weather, and encounters, with adventures ranging from level 1 through 20. Using a 78-card tarot deck, you'll create nautical adventures with new monsters. It feels like that's gimmicky for the sake of being gimmicky, because you're using a tarot deck instead of drawing, just rolling randomly. Whenever you mess around with tarot decks, you're messing around with, things that maybe you shouldn't be messing around with. I'm not saying, there is anything occult or magical behind tarot decks, but I'm not saying there isn't. So right there, I'm like, On the other hand, is pirates. And we know I love pirates. Pirates are definitely one of my weak points. I am a huge fan of Pirate Dinosaur Island. Probably the next game, if I ever run a game after the one I'm running now ends, and it's, it'll probably be a Pirate Dinosaur Island type game. I just love the Pirate Dinosaur Island hex crawl. So yeah, pirates for 5e. Now there's also a other game using Sea of Fate, and yeah, I guess we're just running out of names that make you instantly think pirate. We've got A Perfect Rock, a planet building adventure game by Deep Dark Games. This is a original system. It's $95 for the PDF and print versions of the book, a deck of something and other cards, map, and patches. Patches, your home world is gone. Time to find a new one. It's a GM-less world-building tabletop role-playing game that lets you design both your original planet and your new world. Using rocks as inspiration, you'll travel to a new world while remembering your old one. If you like building settings collaboratively, the campaign links to a one-page view. Okay, what do you mean you use rocks? All right, I gotta look this up. Like, I go outside and get a rock. Bam, 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 bam. Explore the stars, make planets from rocks, find a new home. Bam, 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 rock, rock. Sci-fi adventure, world building. It says, if you don't want to collect rocks, use a rock oracle deck or deck of cards. Okay, what does this mean, using rocks? Explore the stars, explore the planets. Choose a rock and use it as an inspiration for per planet. Surveys like sky, flora, and fauna, and roll to see how strange, deadly, or perfect. Explore the ship. Choose a new home. One-page version. There's a deck of cards that show different type of rocks and what, generally is associated with the rocks and emeralds. And then you could say, oh, well, I drew an emerald. I got a growth, and the qualities of emerald are associated with things like growth, clarity, and restlessness. And so I'm going to build my planet around those three words. Okay, I don't dislike that. It does seem a little gimmicky when I could just roll that on a random table. But in regards to just going outside and picking up a rock, I mean, is that something I'm expected to do if I don't want to get the card? Okay. I don't recommend going outside during the middle of the game and bringing a rock into the game, or throwing rocks at your DM if you don't agree with what he just told you, or the DM throwing rocks at you if he doesn't like what you're doing. Generally, just leave rocks alone, Besides, unless you are a rock collector or a geologist, you're probably not going to know the difference between that rock and that rock. They're just going to look like rocks. It's like, is that a rock? Is that just a clump of dirt? Is that just concrete? Is it cat poop? I don't know. Is it... Can you tell the difference between a rhomble and a spiral? I don't know. I like the idea of the cards, though, but I think that could have also just been a, random table. Just roll 3 times on the random table, and I get like sunlight, raucous, or just look up what, I don't know. I think bottom line, please do not go outside and get rocks and bring them into the game table, because your mom might get upset that you're getting dirt on her table. Anyways, $95 for a book about space and rocks. Or you could buy my book about space, which is way cheaper. Craft and Conquer by Jeffrey Joe Seltzer for some version of Dungeons & Dragons. Just remind you, go back in time to the little triad I had about Dungeons & Dragons about 3 minutes ago, where you now need to start specifying which version. This is a source book. It's $11 for the PDF. Want to add more crafting to the 5e game? Want spell and feats to help you craft better? If you play to create things, then this is a source book that will arm you with the literal tool artisans require. The book gets into the mundane items of the world, letting you delve deeper into the building new elements. Now, I will agree that in 5e 2014, the crafting / tool rules were not very clear. I pay $50. I have a blacksmith tools kit. What is in that? Because am I literally lugging around an anvil? Because those things are heavy. And there weren't really crafting rules of what you could and could not do. And, you know, for people with skills like herbalism and alchemy, there definitely was, you know, the need to know, can I brew a potion? Does my herbalism skill allow me to find plants that might help Steve recover from this poison he just ate, you know, stuff like that. So I don't know if they fixed or added to the crafting rules in 2024 D&D. Did they? I mean, other than the Bastion rules, but what about like crafting on the road? And what about what you actually are carrying with you if you choose to carry a, you know, herbalism kit or a leather worker's kit? Because, you know, like for leatherworking, you need a big barrel to cure the leather in, usually with brine. Leatherworking is a very stinky profession, you know, even something as simple as cooking. Am I lugging around an oven? So I'm hoping that 2024 D&D, considering how it's all about cozy role playing, did expand on that. If it didn't, then I would say pick up this book, because it looks like this individual has expanded upon the crafting rules, which if 2024 cozy D&D is your thing, nothing against that. This might be the book for you. And it's only $11. So cool. I mean, if it's, you know, if Joe has done the research, then yeah, go for it. Why not? This is called Crafting Heritage, Cultures and More, World Building by PJ Kofi, Homebrew and Hacking, Tabletop Role-Playing Game Design. This is for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and Advanced 5th Edition. Do you mean Ian World's Advanced 5th Edition, or are you referring to 2024 D&D as Advanced 5th Edition? Because Ian World has their Advanced 5e. Anyways, it's for D20. It's $35 for the PDF and the print version of the book. It's a 120-page book about rules to create characters, traits, NPCs, and full cultures designed to both versions of the game. The book includes a chapter on each on how to make original heritage, cultures, backgrounds, feats, plus chapters on pre-made versions of each. It sounds like a lot of wasted space. Here's an entire chapter on blacksmithing. Gee, that sounds like a lot of, like, we added 71 new pages of art. But this also makes me feel like, well, if you need a book for this, then that means that 5e didn't do the job in 2024. Because 5e 2024 should have covered that, so that nobody has to go, well, I don't feel like what I want to do is covered. Wasn't that your whole thing, Jeremy? 5e 2024 should cover all the heritages, backgrounds, and feats, so that PJ Kofi never felt the need to create a new one unless there were feats and backgrounds that weren't carried. And the fact that he has to dedicate an entire chapter to each of the ones, that feels excessive, but it also feels like, how bad is 2024 D&D that PJ Kofi felt the need to create this book, because he felt that he needed to create 120 extra pages because you didn't do the job well enough for him. I don't know. This is either really, really brilliant, or it shows how bad 2024 D&D is, or I don't know. I wish, but hey, the guy did the work, so good on you, PJ Kofi. Thank you. And then we've got some new zines, because we're now covering zines every week, which is cool. We've got Los Fantasmio from Ken X and Tony Visid. This is an old school system neutral dungeon with a twist. It's all about smells set in a haunted perfume factory. God, I don't know if I could go into a perfume factory, much less a haunted one. All those strong senses would just knock me out. I mean, Jesus Christ. I remember walking through a perfume counter once of a Sears, I think it was, and the woman squirted perfume at us because she thought she was being cute, and I got so sick. I almost passed out. We've got Fantasy RPG double feature, Delver 17 and Ruin 6 from the Tabletop Engineer. This is 2 zines with 2 different offerings for D20 type stuff. random tables, adventures, articles focusing on old school gameplay, Shadowdark. We've got a perfect white tabletop role-playing game and fundraiser by Copy and Paste Co-op. This is a 24-page adventure about female spirit base and a Malaysian Indonesian folklore with artwork and concepts. We've got Streetlight and Shadows in the Maltese Falcon adventure from Tabletops and Tentacles. That's your number one name for a company this week. It's a hard-boiled, inspired adventure based around the classic 1930s, 40s, 50s noir same things, where you get to, play film noir type investigators like Bogart and the Maltese Falcon. We've got The Devil's Doorbell by Bug Bowl. Bug Bowl. Okay, maybe you win this week's name for best name of a game company. This is a IRPG about promoting the Prince of Liars in hilarious ways to vulnerable souls. You go door to door preaching the dark word with a capital D, recruiting wayward souls and promising them everything save for salvation. Bug Bowl's Senate and Sensibility is a standout RPG combining Power Rangers and Jane Austen. And this one, so basically you're a door-to-door salesman, but instead of selling a vacuum cleaner, you're selling the idea of the devil. All right, so we've got this thing. We've got this thing, $11. If crafting's your thing, this could be worth it. We've got, I don't know. I mean, it's another mothership, another space is trying to kill you, another survive in space, but this one features rocks. I mean, it's clever. Pirates. I love pirates. And this one, obviously, this one is my recommendation for the week. It may seem a little pricey at $69, but I know based upon the stuff I've seen Victor and Basic Expert talk about it, and the other people who have interviewed the people who made this, it's definitely worth it. If I was in a mood to buy a brand new hex crawl setting, I'd be looking at this, but I'm not. But if I was, I'd highly recommend that. Anyways, don't take my word for it. Make up your own mind. The links to all the things I just listed are down below. Thank you, as always, Ian World, for letting us copy and paste from your amazing site. I really appreciate it. Zines are the way to go, it seems. This is the second or third week in a row we've seen zines take a major part on the crowdfunding project. So I think that's cool. I would love to see zines make a comeback. There's just something so tactile, visceral, punk rock 1980s, 1970s about zines. I remember, just the look, the feel, the smell, it's just the unfinished qualities. It's just, like anybody who had a typewriter and access to a Kinko's and a binding machine could put out a zine. And maybe you made one, maybe you made 100, maybe it sold, maybe it didn't, maybe it was laid out really expertly, or maybe it was just a nonsensical rambling thing. Like Hardo and Gomorrah could be considered a zine, especially the first book. So yeah, I am definitely appreciating the zine movement slowly returning to tabletop role-playing games, and I hope it continues. But that's just me. Make up your own mind. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot. Talk to you later.
Roll the dice and ride the wave. Quest and dragons, the news we crave. Under neon lights we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land.